Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. I thought this video was going to be about Manuel Ugarte flying into Manchester for his medical at Old Trafford. I thought this video was also going to be about Scott McTominay heading over to Naples to complete a move to Napoli. It looks like that one is about to happen right now, ins and outs in that Manchester United midfield. But then, just before I was about to make this video, Raheem Sterling is being linked with a move to Manchester United in a potential swap deal between Man United and Chelsea of Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling. Two under-fire wingers on some big money at their current clubs after some big transfers to their current clubs. Could they be swapping places and potentially Raheem Sterling at Manchester United, having played for Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea? Is he going to try and complete the set? Do the whole big six and Man United's just his next stop? Maybe, just maybe. We're going to get stuck into all those stories. We've got loads of updates on those stories as well. David Ornstein coming in clutch today with plenty of those breaking news as well. And there's a bit more elsewhere too. So we'll get stuck into all of that. Before we do, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing, etc. Get all your thoughts in those comments below. Right then, let's start with what we know is definitely happening. Manuel Ugarte, according to David Ornstein, and many others have jumped on it as well, is travelling to England today for a medical ahead of joining Manchester United from PSG. The Manchester United deal for the 23-year-old Uruguayan international midfielder is £50 million up front, with 10 million in add-ons based on performance and success. PSG initially wanted 60 million euros fixed, but they're not going to get that. They're going to get that 50 million plus 10, and Man United will be paying up front around 41 million pounds for Manuel Ugarte. United's negotiations eventually getting 10 million off that fee, although we will pay 10 million in those add-ons. And it makes me feel like maybe this move wasn't down to the negotiating. Maybe this move wasn't delayed because the clubs were trying to agree a fee. It feels like this fee's always been there. The personal terms were agreed with Manuel Ugarte as well. So it feels like that's always been about. That's always kind of been happening. Maybe Manchester United just needed to get rid of Scott McTominay, PSR. In terms of PSR, that will give us a pure profit. And the 30 million euro fee, 25 million pounds just over, coming in for Scott McTominay, I think is a really good fee for Manchester United, considering he has 1 year left on his deal. The story on that, again from David Ornstein, was Scott McTominay's to move from Man United to Napoli, now down to finalising personal terms between United midfielder and Napoli. He's not flying yet. There was talk he was flying over for his medical, but subject to agreement on contract, the Scotland international will travel for medical ahead of proposed switch. So that one looks like it's happening. Manuel Ugarte is on his way in. Scott McTominay is on his way out. What do I think of that? First of all, Manuel Ugarte, you look at the profile of player that he is, leading the way in tackles in Ligue 1 last season, the season previous to that, leading the way in tackles in Portugal as well when he was at Sporting Lisbon. He loves to tackle. He loves to mix things up. And I love one of the things he said, if we have the ball, we play football. If we don't have the ball, we fight. That's the kind of shithousery I want to hear. And I want to see someone in that midfield that will be tackling every single thing that moves. He also keeps it very, very simple as well. One of the things that Casemiro's been doing in his old age is abandoning ship, just running out of position, just going forward and not thinking about what's behind him. Now, maybe that's because Manchester United's structure has needed improved on, but also we need someone that's just going to sit there and tidy things up. And Manuel Ugarte looks like that man. Now, I'm not going to run out and say he's definitely going to be a success or anything like that. I've gone beyond that point with transfers now. I try not to. The amount of transfers we've had and you think this is the one and then it fails. But Manuel Ugarte, the profile of him, the age of him, the kind of player he is, he's still got room for improvement, fairly experienced as well. And you see that clip of him when he was playing for Uruguay, basically calling all the Argentina team wankers. Although two of those Argentina players were our players and he was calling them wankers. I didn't mind that, I didn't mind that at all. And I like to see someone that will bring a little bit of that. And if that's the case, get him ready and getting in that starting lineup for Sunday against the Scousers. I'll have some money on a booking, please. Then Scott McTominay obviously on his way out. It's always sad when you see an academy graduate leaving the club. Scott McTominay's had some great moments for Manchester United, scoring some crucial goals for us last season. I'll never forget his goal against Manchester City just before lockdown. I speak about this a lot because it's a memory that it's just stuck up there. I remember standing on my chair, and because lockdown was kind of looming and we kind of knew this would be the last game, I remember looking around and just thinking, wow, look at the limbs. Look at the sea of bodies just jumping around, all buzzing that Manchester United have scored. How long will it be until we experience that? And that moment was a phenomenal moment. And that's probably the Scott McTominay moment that will stick with me the most. But he has had a fair few. Think of the game against Brentford last season. But for me, generally speaking, just not good enough to start week in, week out for Manchester United. Yeah, he was a decent squad player, but he's now of an age where he probably wants to be playing week in, week out, playing regularly. And I don't think he was that guy for Man United, the one that we want to see playing regularly. Not very good in the press, not very good in terms of being an option on the ball, not very good with passing ability as well. Yes, someone will pull out a clip of him making a good pass here and there, but consistently wasn't the guy for us to be in midfield, I don't think. So yeah, good move for all parties involved once that one is done and dusted. But then you look at this Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling thing. What the hell is going on there? First we heard from Mike McGraw, who said United have opened talks over a deal for Raheem Sterling, but will only progress in a swap for Jadon Sancho on their own terms. Dan Ashworth spoke with Chelsea earlier today over a Sancho Sterling swap deal. Now, you've got David Ornstein's stance on this is Jadon Sancho likely to exit United before the deadline. United are in talks with Juventus as well as Chelsea for a permanent or loan move. Chelsea would probably need to move a player the other way or just get a player out before they can bring him in. As we know, they're stockpiling players at the moment. And Raheem Sterling is the most feasible, but a lot must happen for that to materialise. That's coming from David Ornstein. Now, I don't mind Raheem Sterling. He's a decent player, and if you have him in your squad, I think he's a decent player to have. Although you look at what's happened at Chelsea, releasing statements and all that, it's very Sancho-esque, isn't it? Although I feel like Sterling's situation is a little bit different, the manager's kind of trying to force him out of the club. It's very Sancho-esque. Very Sancho-esque. Do we want to be bringing in a player that's just fallen out with his current team, his current manager? And will we be exposed to someone releasing statements when he's not picked in a team? That's one of the things that you have to think about. But with Jadon Sancho leaving, and like we say, David Ornstein said he's likely to leave Man United permanently on loan before the transfer window closes. And we're also in talks with Juventus and Chelsea. If we were to replace him with an experienced figure like Sterling, I'm fine with that. But you look at the wages. You also look at the age profile of players we've been signing recently. Raheem Sterling is not in any of those brackets. At 29 years old as well. I do remember Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in and criticising the signing of Casemiro. And basically, like, we're signing a player for Man United whose best years are behind him. Big money signing on big wages. Now, I don't think there'd be a big transfer fee with Raheem Sterling, but they're probably going to be big wages. He's got 3 years left on a contract worth £300,000 a week. Should we be in a position of kind of giving him that? Is he a motivated player to be bringing in? These are all the questions we need to be asking ourselves. Now, he is a boyhood Man United fan, and maybe he wants to play for Manchester United. But there is that there, and he wouldn't be a guaranteed starter, would he? You know, you've got Marcus Rashford, Amad Diallo, Alejandro Garnacho there at the moment. Now he's better than Anthony, but that shouldn't be the mark. You shouldn't just have to be better than Anthony to sign for Man United. I'm a bit confused about that one. It does feel like a very Woodward-esque move if it was to happen. But yeah, that's what's going on. Chelsea wanted to get rid of Gallagher, ended up signing João Felix. Now they want to get rid of Raheem Sterling. They might end up having to get Jadon Sancho just to get rid of Raheem Sterling. How many players are these guys going to buy just to get rid of another player? Do they even want these players? What the hell's going on at Chelsea? But us, should we be getting involved? Like I said, I like Raheem Sterling, but I'm just unsure on the motivations for this move, man. And if a player isn't joining to be the best he can be at the club and to push this team and improve and get better and all that, then I don't know if we should be going for it. But it's an interesting one. Lots going on today. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, like and comment and share, and get your thoughts in the comments below as well. I'll be back very, very soon. But until then, I've been AdamMcKola. I'm out of here.